Westphal here at McDonald Garden Center, and today we're going to do a fairy garden. Fairy gardening is a new craze. It's been around for a little while, but it's something that people just love and enjoy. It's a very easy thing to do for any age gardener. It's a great way to do something indoors year-round, or you can do them outside. There's so many different applications. So you can do, a ladies' night out party, or you can bring your grandchildren or your children in. It's just a great activity. Brings the family together, brings people together, and it's just a great enjoyment to be able to plan out and plant a little fairy garden. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go through a couple steps that you want to follow so that you can be very successful with this little project. First step is going to be pick out your container. For this project, I picked out this container. It's a lightweight pot, doesn't have a hole in the bottom, and the reason I picked that is because there's a couple added steps when you use a container that doesn't have a drainage hole. But you can use any container. A clay pot, which does have a drainage hole. Use a basket with a plastic liner. Use a container like this, a smaller container, or a ceramic pot, or even something like this, which has this embossed butterfly on the front. After you've picked out your container, you also want to get your supplies. And for this project, because I don't have a drainage hole, we're going to need some gravel, some charcoal, potting soil, and then maybe some top dressing. So I've got some bark, I've got some sand, I've got some other rocks, so I'll show you this as we go along. If you're using a container with the drainage hole, then all you would really need is potting soil, because potting soil will drain through that hole, the water will drain out the bottom, and then you're able to dump out the water that collects in the saucer. So now we'll get started on the next step. The next step is picking out your plants and accessories, so that's the fun part. We have a huge assortment of plants. You can use succulents, you can use these little fairy garden plants, which I'm going to use today. You can use tillandsias, which are little air plants. There's so many different things that you could do. We've got low light plants, we've got high light plants, we've got medium light plants. So you come in with your container or pick out your container here, and we'll help you pick out the plants that work best for you. We also have a great assortment of accessories. So these are really cute. This is a little gazebo. We've got fairies, we've got swing sets, we've got bird cages, we've got a ton of assortment of different things that you can do to accessorize your garden, your fairy garden. And makes it fun and makes it unique and whatever you may want to do with it. So come in and check those out as well. The next step is we're going to fill the container. So again, if you're using a container that has a drainage hole, you don't need to do anything added. You can put a little gravel on the bottom, or you can put a coffee filter or something like that, just to protect the hole from getting clogged up with the potting soil. But other than that, you would just fill it with potting soil. The first step is going to be using some gravel. So I've got just plain old river pea gravel. You could use any type of gravel, marble chips, river rock, anything that's going to help the water collect down at the bottom so that your plants don't experience root rot issues. So I'm just going to fill in a light layer of the river gravel. I'm just going to lay that out maybe about a half an inch to an inch layer. Then the next important step is charcoal. So charcoal, what charcoal does for your container that doesn't have a hole in it is when the moisture is collected down in the bottom and it's wicked up through there to be used by the plants, it takes the bacterias out. It creates, it doesn't allow the soil, the moisture to have a smell to it. So it basically prevents your soil from souring. So it's a great thing to add. You've got to do it. It's the only way to protect your plants from getting that root rot issue or other issues coming down the road. So I'm going to put a nice layer of that in. And I've got some more here. We carry the charcoal. It's a horticultural gray charcoal. So again, you just want probably about an inch to a 2-inch layer of charcoal. And just fill that right in there, just like that. And just lay it down nice and flat. And then the next step is fill it with potting soil. I'm going to use an all-purpose potting soil. This is our potting soil. It's McDonald blend. It's great for indoor projects. It's just a great potting soil. It's nice and light and fluffy. And it's going to allow the water to go through very easily. So I'm just going to fill that up right to about, maybe give myself about a half an inch of the container showing on top. And we're just going to lay that out nice and flat. You don't want to compact it real tight. You don't want to push it down. You just want to lay it in there nice and flat. And then you've got to realize you're going to put some plants in there. And as you put your plants in, you're going to use more soil. So now we're going to plant, and then we're going to accessorize with all our accessories. So it's going to be real fun. Think about how you want to do it. You might go on Pinterest to get some ideas. You might come into us, and you can check out some of the samples we have around the store, or we can help you plant one and determine your plan of how you might plant it. So I've collected a couple different types of plants here. I've got a little palm, so we're going to put that in here. So I'm thinking I'm going to put that back here in the back. And we've got this really cute polka dot plant. It's a pink polka dot plant, really pretty foliage. So we're going to use that maybe in the front because that's going to be kind of like a trailing plant. Then I've got this great campanella, which is blooming right now. It's gorgeous. But you could use any variety of plants. You could use succulents, like I said. I might even pop this tillandsia in a little bit later. So I think what I want to do is Also use this gazebo. So I'm going to use this gazebo back here in the back, and then I'm going to create a little walkway to the front. So now I'm just going to plant. So the first thing I'm going to do is just squeeze the pot nice and gently and pull the plant out. Then I'm just going to lightly separate the roots. You don't want to use a knife. You don't want to do anything that's going to harm the root system. You just want to lightly separate it so that it gets acclimated to the new potting soil and the new pot that you're planting in its new home. And I'm just going to plant this one right up here on the front. And then I'm just going to fill right around it with soil. Then I've got this great little palm. This is going to be kind of my background plant. Again, same thing, just lightly pull it out of the planter. Just kind of slightly tease those roots out. And then we're just going to plant it right back here. And then next I've got my campanella, which is this great blooming plant, really, really pretty. I'm going to use this one kind of over on this portion of the planter, just kind of right here towards the middle, because this is going to again spread and it'll give you a little bit of height, but it's going to give you a ton of color. It's just a great little plant. And there we go. And then what I want to do is I'm going to use my gazebo kind of as a guide of how I want to set up my walkway. I love adding walkways. You could use like a blue sand for a little river if you want to, and put a little bridge over it. So many different possibilities. It's so much fun. But what I want to do is kind of get ready to build a walkway. And what I like to do in this case is I'm going to use sand to kind of create that walkway. And then I've got some river gravel here that's been washed off, so it's got some nice colors. It's got some different coloration to it. So that's going to be what I'm going to use for my stepping stones kind of in that walkway. You can go find things anywhere. You can go out into the woods, you can use pine cones, you can use sticks, you can build anything that you want. Use your imagination. That's what's so much fun about this project. So next, what I'm going to do is just kind of build kind of a slight trench system here where I'm going to pour my sand and create my little walkway. So I've kind of created this curving path. It's going to lead right into our gazebo here. And then I'm just going to take the sand and just pour it right along in there. And that's going to create my walkway. And I'm just going to level that out and make sure it looks good. And you can always tinker with this and play with it, but it's just a lot of fun just to kind of be creative and use different ideas. Now I'm going to add some other things to kind of finish off the top of the soil. So I've got this great product from Supermoss. Supermoss has so many of these different types of mosses that you can use, but they're just bright. It's a preserved moss, so you don't have to worry about watering it or maintaining it. It's just a great way of adding a little bit of a ground cover basically, but it's preserved, so it's going to stay that bright color for a long time. And you can just use that in and around the plants to just kind of create this really pretty accent and this very kind of fairy-like feel. So I'm just going to use that here and there and around. And then I've also got, like I said, these rocks over here. So I'm going to use those to kind of create some stepping stones. So I'm going to just put those in there and just sink them right down into the sand. Real easy, just to kind of create this walkway. Sometimes you'll get these really pretty red colors in there. They're nice and smooth. Just find the right size that works for you and just pop them in there. And then next I'm going to use some of the gravel that we had left over from the bottom of the pot, and I'm just going to use that just around over in this section just to create another kind of area of the garden. So again, you can use anything. You can use mulch. I've got a couple of that, a little cup full of some orchid bark or mulch, anything like that, but it's just this chunky bark mix. I'm going to use that kind of down and around here. Again, I'm just kind of creating different areas and separation. You don't want to get too picky. You can just kind of, like I said, just kind of throw it together. It gives you a little bit more of that natural look because you just kind of put it together like that. I might use a little bit more of this moss here to create a little bit of a landing pad, a little bit of a area for our fairies to sit on, because we've also got a great selection of fairies that you can use. And the moss just adds this mythical feel to the garden. Really easy to use, just to pop it here and there. Now I'm going to put my gazebo back in. I've got these cute little fairies right here. They're standing together. And this one's great because it's got a little stake in it too. So you can just pop it right down in there and they're gonna stay nice and sturdy. And then I'm gonna put my gazebo over them. And I've got these other two little fairies with their little dog that we can sit over here on the edge of the pot. And there you have it. So basically what we've done here is we've created our container and we've just created this nice little pathway with a couple different plants. Very easy to take care of. These are medium to high light plants. They're very easy to grow. So just a great way to enjoy your container. The last step is how to maintain your planter. So of course this planter doesn't have a hole in the bottom, so it's important to water correctly so that you're very successful and you don't create root rot issues. Now if you've got a drainage hole in the bottom of the container that you use, then that's great. Water it, let it dry out. It's called a wet dry cycle. It's very simple. Different houses, different sunlight situations means different requirements of water. But basically water it, let it dry out. Most houseplants like that. Succulents require a little bit less water. Ferns and those types of plants require a little bit more water. But we'll help you along the way with those types of questions that you have. Just come in and ask us. But with this container, because it doesn't have drainage holes, then we just want to be careful about how we water. So you can use like a mister, which is a great way to apply water directly to the plants and the soil around it. You can also use a small watering can or just even a little cup that you can just pour the water right there. I like to use a baster or a syringe, just a cooking, turkey baster, and you just dip it, get your water, and then you just apply it right to the plants. And then that way you're getting water directly to the plants. They can use it. Any excess water will be collected down in that rock base and then be pulled through the charcoal, which will filter it basically and keep your soil from souring, and that's how you'll water it. So thanks for watching our video on how to create a fairy garden. It's a very easy project. You only need a container, some soil, the ingredients that we just talked about, some plants, some accessories, and you create this wonderful world right here that you can keep in your house or outside. So come in and see us here at McDonald Garden Center and check out everything that we have to offer for your fairy garden.